Right.
Forget about it. I'm going to throw these pants out in the Shirley anyway. They were bored here, so I'll just throw them out in the Shirley. Don't worry about it, I'll just wear it.
Careful. Everybody be careful walking by this thing. All right, I think we're ready to go. All right, we're gonna do Udui Udila Aruna. Everybody knows that song? Careful. Okay, you can follow along in your phones. Udila Aruna Porabapali Tuichamane Kora Amani Jage Na Porabapali Tuichamane Kora Samoa, Laila Sate, Gela Nagara, Jay. You don't have it? It's called Arunadaya Kirtan, Part 1. Bakat Samoa, Laila Sate. Gela Nagaram Raje Tatai Tatai Vashalako Gana Gana Dari Charanro Breme Dala Dala Sanaranga Charanenu Pura Bajay Mukuna Madhavanyana Vapore Olena Polore Vadana Pore Say, Gelo Rati, Divasa Sharira, Sajay. Emana Tula Pamana Putio, Mayaki Koro Baba. K-ho Evena Pachile Nachola Sutagan Jarame Boribe Lashne Vana Oile Hashta Gina Kelo Mole Oebe Basta Nasakoi Vacharedaya Nache Jivana Nicha Jana Hasar Takinana Vida Vipada Bar Jana to me, Takahapana Kache. Jivera Kanyana Jatana Kam Jakateya Seo Paturanam Tapana Rupe Mikagane Vira Shay Krishna Nama Shuddha Korea Pan Jurayo Bhakti Vinodran Nama Vina Kichu Taki Kuaram Chodabo Vanam Maje Chodabo Vanam Maje Udina Haruna Purababak Dilaruna Purababaje Vichamane Gora Amane Jake Udila Haruna Makata Samoa Sate Yena Nagara Shay Chan Nanda Shri Advaita Gadada Siva Sade Gaurvata Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Krishna Chaitanya Ramanityananda Sitwaita Gadada Siva Sade Gaurvata Vrinda Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Jai Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Hare Bo,
Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupad. Paramahansa Paravidikacharya, also Teta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Abhaya Chananada Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shilahira Thakur ki jai. Ram Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasri Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Saimakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavanam ki jai, Maturam ki jai, Jagadasami ki jai, Munamai ki jai. Shrimati Lasi Devi ki jai, Samavayeda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Om. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Namo Vishnupadaya. Krishna Prastaya Budle Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Samadi Dinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauramani Pachari Nirvashesha Shanyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarni. So read the translation, and you want to get the guitar? Careful. Okay, you can take this chair away. When the rising sun appeared in the east, the jewel of the twice-born Lord Gauranga awakened. Gathering his devotees around him, he set out to preach in the countryside, towns, and villages. Tatai, tatai sounded the mridanga drums, and the cymbals chimed in time. Lord Gauranga's shimmering golden features danced, and his ankle bells jingled. Mukunda, Madhava, Yadava, Hari, chanted the devotees, their mouths filled with the vibrations. Calling out, they preach to those still sleeping. You spend your nights uselessly sleeping and your days decorating your bodies. Although you have achieved a rare human birth, you do not care for this precious gift. Instead, you refrain from serving the darling of Yashoda and slowly fall through your last moments to death. With every rising and setting of the sun, a day passes and is lost. Why then do you remain idle and not serve the Lord of the heart? This life is temporary and full of various miseries. Take shelter of the holy name as your only business, to penetrate the darkness of ignorance and bless everyone's heart. The sweet holy name has risen like the shining sun. Drink deeply pure nectar of Krishna's holy name, which is the life and soul of Bhakti Vinod. The holy names aside, there is nothing to be had in all the 14 worlds. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. So, just move this a little closer. Carefully. So, I thought, since tomorrow we're doing the Radhakund Parikramā for the last time, and for some of you it'll be the first time, right? Oh, thank you. You are very kind. So for some of you it'll be the first time, right? Some of the people here, it'll be the first time with us that you've done.
Yes,
Some of the people. So I'll just do it briefly, I'll talk about it, because tomorrow we're going to actually do Radhakund Parikramā in depth, but I want to tell the story of Radhakund, and really quickly, and then we'll go on to Nectar Devotion. So, Om Gana Timidandasha Gananjana Shlakya Chakshur Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigirve Namaha. So, we'll start by reading this verse from the Nectar of Instruction, which I think all of you know. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha. Why is it superior to Vaikuntha? Anyone know? Krishna appeared, but why is this considered superior? More intimate. So it's more intimate, it's better, at least for us. Spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathurapuri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan, because of Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes, and superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna, and it was the site of his various loving pastimes. And above all, the super excellent Shri Radhakund stands supreme, for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokula Shri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radha Kund, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill? So a little history. Radha Kund was discovered, and Shamakund was discovered by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the modern days. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to this village called Arishtagrama, means the village of Risashura. I just like to see all the villages here are named after Krishna's pastimes, right? Anior, Jatipur, Arishtagrama, Vrindavana. What does Vrindavana mean? What?
The forest of Vrinda?
The forest of Vrinda, right. Can you imagine? What is Sydney named after? I don't know. There's actually one street in Sydney called Gunda. Isn't it? We've been there. Gunda Rao or something like that. So anyway, so Lord Chaitanya came to Aristogram and he was looking for Radhakund. He was asked, where's that Radhakund? And so he's looking all around and finally he sees two like little ponds in the paddy fields where they're growing rice or grains or something. And he jumped into them. And everyone was thinking, oh my God, why is he jumping into these ponds? It'd be like if we were going out and someone was growing some, anything, mustard seeds, mustard plants. And I would start jumping and, pouring water on myself. You'd think, oh my God, what's he doing? And then Lord Chaitanya revealed that these kunds, or these ponds, were actually Radhakund and Shaimakund. And he arranged for Raghunath Das Goswami to excavate Radhakund and Shaimakund. In fact, Raghunath Das Goswami is considered the Acharya of Radhakund and Shaimakund. So then, from the Puranas, we have this quote from Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who describes the joking conversation between Radha and Krishna that took place after Krishna killed the demon Arishtashura. And this quote describes the origin of Radhakund and Shaimakund. And I'm just going to read the English. Because Krishna had just killed the demon Arishtashura. So the innocent young gopis said, hey, Krishna, don't touch us now. O killer of a bull. And even though Arishta was a terrible demon, still he was a male cow. So you'll have to undergo atonement. Everybody knows what atonement is? Atonement is you do something bad and you get punished. That's like if you do something at home, isn't it? You get punished and you have to do something. There's one temple, if the devotees don't show up on time for Mangalarti, they have to write the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 1,000 times. It's not good. Because the Hare Krishna mantra should never be a punishment. Anyway, it's a blessing. So you'll have to undergo atonement, just as the Lord Indra did after killing Vritrasura. But how can you purify yourself without going to the trouble of visiting every single holy place in the three worlds? Krishna replied, why should I have to wander throughout the entire universe? I will at once bring all the countless pilgrimage places here and take my bath in them. Just watch. It's very proud. Krishna is an extremely proud person. With this, Lord Mukunda struck his heel in the ground. Then he said, this is the water of the Bhagavati river coming from the Patala region. And now, O holy places, all of you, please come here. When the Supreme Lord had spoken these words, all the holy places went there and appeared before him. Krishna then addressed the gopis as follows, just see all the holy places. But the gopis replied, we don't see them as you describe. And then those best of holy places, joining their palms in supplication, said, I am the salt ocean, I am the ocean of milk, I am the Amrit Dirghika, Shonipi, that's the Sanskrit. I am the river Shona, I am the Sindhu, I am the Tamraparni, I am the holy place Pushkara, I am the river Saraswati. And we are the river Godavari, Yamuna, and Reva rivers, and the confluence of rivers at Prayag. Just see our waters. After purifying himself by bathing, Lord Hari became quite arrogant. What's arrogant?
Like boastful, like
What?
boastful and like
Proud.
arrogant.
And said, I have produced a pond containing all the various holy places, whereas you gopis must never have executed any religious duties on this earth for the pleasure of Lord Brahma. Then Srimati Radharani addressed her girlfriends as follows: I must create an even more beautiful pond. So go to work, girls. Having heard these words, the gopis saw that Aristashura's hooves had dug a shallow ditch just west of Krishna's pond. At that nearby spot, all the gopis began digging up lumps of soft mud with their hands, and in this way a divine pond manifested in the short span of an hour. Krishna was astonished to see the lake they produced. He said, Go ahead, O lotus-eyed one, you and your companions should fill this pond with water from mine. But Radha replied, No, 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 no. This is impossible, since the water of your pond is contaminated by your terrible sin of killing a cow. I will have my countless gopi companions bring the pure water of the Manasa Ganga here in billions of pots. In this way I will fill this lake with my own water and thus make its renown, unequaled in the entire world. Lord Krishna then gestured to a heavenly personality who was an intimate associate of all the holy places. Of course, there's more to the story, that they tried to do it and they were unsuccessful. So then Lord Krishna gestured to a heavenly personality who was an intimate associate of all the holy places. Suddenly that person rose out of Krishna's pond and bowed down to the daughter of Sri Vrishabhanu Radharani. Then with palms joined and tears pouring from his eyes, he began praying to her in devotion. O goddess, even Lord Brahma himself, the knower of all the scriptures, cannot understand your glories, nor can Lord Shiva or Lakshmi. Only Krishna, the supreme goal of all human endeavor, can understand them, and thus he is eager to wash away your perspiration when you are fatigued. He is always anointing your lotus feet with nectarian chari and yavaka and decorating them with ankle bells. And he rejoices and feels most fortunate simply by satisfying the tips of the toes of your lotus feet. On his order, we've immediately come here to live in his most excellent pond, which he created by one stroke of his heel, but only if you now feel satisfied with us and bestow us upon us your merciful glance, will the tree of our desire bear fruit. Hearing this prayer spoken by the representative of the full assembly of the holy places, Sri Radha was pleased and said, So kindly tell me your desire. They then told her plainly, Our lives would be successful if we could come to your pond. That is the benediction we desire. Glancing at her beloved from the corners of her eyes, the daughter of Vrishabhanu replied with a smile, Please come. Her gopi companions all agreed with her decision and became immersed in the ocean of happiness. Indeed, the beauty of all the creatures, both mobile and stationary, was enhanced. Thus gaining the grace of Srimati Radharani, the holy rivers and lakes in Sri Krishna Kund forcibly broke through its boundary walls and swiftly filled Radha Kund with their waters. Lord Hari then said, My dear Radha, may this pond of yours become even more world-renowned than mine. I will always come here to bathe and enjoy my water pastimes. Indeed, this lake is as dear to me as you are. Radha replied, I will come to bathe in your pond as well, even though you may kill hundreds of Aristashura demons here. In the future, anyone who has intense devotion for this lake, which is on the spot where you chastise Aristashura, and who bathes or resides here, is sure to become very dear to me. And that night, Krishna initiated a rasa dance at Radha Kund, generating a torrent of the greatest mood of pleasure. Sri Krishna resembled a cloud, and Srimati Radharani a brilliant flash of lightning, filling the sky with their abundant beauty. In this way, their divine glories permeated, that means went over, all the expanses of the three worlds. As a final note, okay, that's not really part of the story. So, what was that?
So this is Popsy.
What?
This Goodyear.
A courtier. Okay. A courtier. So, that's Radha Kund. And then we'll go ahead to the nectar devotion. So tomorrow we're going to go to Radha Kund, of course. I do not advise the devotees to go completely into Radha Kund. And the reason for that is that it's non-different from Srimati Radharani in one sense. And we don't, or at least me, I don't want to put my feet into Radha Kund. I'll take the water, put it on my head, or even bathe with a lota, pour it all over my body, but I'm not going to go into the Kund. Because we have to have this mood of reverence, because Radharani is our ultimate boss or guru. Just like, who here would put their feet on me? If I say to you, kind of, okay, put your feet on me. Actually, Krish would do it. He already did it, isn't it? He jumped on top of me one time, and when I wasn't looking. So anyway, but at least for adults, we don't, or put their feet on Prabhupada, or even, did you know when the spiritual master has remnants, you can use any of the remnants the spiritual master gives you, like his chador or something like that, but you can't use what?
Socks.
The socks, and you're not, and his bed. You know, not say, oh, my spiritual master's bed. Bed, sitting place, like that. All these are prohibited. If it's a rented bed, it's a different thing. Like when Prabhupada first came, I first met Prabhupada, we had to arrange a rented bed for Prabhupada. So obviously people were going to sleep in it afterwards. Whoop. But the first person who slept in that bed after Prabhupada was, guess who? My mother. She came to the temple, like right after, because we had to rent a bed. So she came to the temple right after that and wanted to stay overnight in the temple and see what her poor son was doing with this human form of life. She's thinking, oh my God, I educated him, now he's bald and living with this group of people. So she stayed overnight in the Hare Krishna temple, came to Mangalarti, and participated with us the whole night. And unfortunately, I did some things that really upset her. Like we were taking prasadam that morning, the next morning, and we were all eating on pieces of wax paper on the ground. We didn't even have like plates, paper plates or anything. So we just took some wax paper from a roll. I think you all know what that is.
Yeah.
Put it on the ground, threw the prasadam, not threw it, but put the prasadam down. And so she saw her and son eating with his hands. Like some cannibal. Anyway, we eat with our hands because it's better for the digestion. Much better, because it's part of the whole process Ayurvedically of digesting food. So we ate with our hands, but I did something that was really bad because I was a new devotee and so fanatic that I had spilled some of the water on the floor. And it was prasadam water. And I thought, oh my God, I'm committing an offense. But my mother's here. What should I do? It was like a dilemma, what we call a dilemma.
Yeah.
Avoidance, And so I got down on my hands and knees on the floor and started slurping the water off the floor. So my poor mother would send me to the university, slaved her whole life to get me educated. And there was her son slurping water on the floor. Oh my God. And then, yeah, she almost hired a deprogrammer. Yeah, after she passed away, I actually got a copy of a letter she had written to a deprogrammer. You know, say, a famous deprogrammer. Anyway, it doesn't matter what his name is. And he wrote back and he said, I feel sorry for you. I could save your son. It'll just cost you so much money to save your son. Fortunately, and my father tried to deprogram me too. That's another story. He invited me to meet his friend, the psychiatrist. And then my father disappeared for 2 hours, leaving me alone with the psychiatrist. Why don't you speak to Dr. Freud here for 2 hours? Where's Dr. Freud? And so for 2 hours he was asking me, are you happy? Do you ever feel depressed? 2 hours. He didn't even have to pay for it. So, and I just answered him. I said, yes, I'm happy, but the question is, are you happy? I said, I'm always happy because I'm serving Krishna, but do you ever get depressed? And so by that time he thought either I was crazy or he was crazy. So I took care of that. So anyway, so that's the story about, so anyway, so I started talking about how we shouldn't use certain paraphernalia of the spiritual master, his shoes, his socks, his bed. Don't do that. His seat. Like you see with Prabhupada, wherever Prabhupada sat, it's very sacred. And then you go into Prabhupada's room in the Krishna Balaram Mandir, you see the shoes and other paraphernalia that Prabhupada used. But if the spiritual master gives you a chadar or a sweater or a shirt or a bead bag that he used, then you can use it. And of course I shouldn't tell the story about the one devotee who made a hat out of socks, of my socks. You know who that is. Yeah, I'm not going to mention her name. That she, fanatic person, she just took my old socks. She knew she couldn't put them on her feet, so she made a hat. She knitted a hat out of it and wore it. Crazy. So anyway, let's continue about pure love of Krishna, ecstatic love of Krishna. Ecstatic love of Godhead can be potently invoked simply by following the rules and regulations of devotional service as they are prescribed in scriptures under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. In the 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 38 verses, Srimad Bhagavatam, this ecstatic love born of the execution of regulated devotional service is explained. A devotee, in the course of executing the regulated principles of devotional service, develops his natural Krishna consciousness, and being thus softened at heart, he chants and dances like a madman. While performing chanting of the holy name of Krishna, he sometimes cries, sometimes talks wildly, sometimes sings, and sometimes, without caring for any outsider, dances like a madman. So in the Padma Purana, there's a statement about ecstatic love born of spontaneous affection. Chandra Kanti, a celebrated fair-faced girl, rigidly observed celibacy in order to obtain Krishna as her husband. She always meditated herself always engaged herself in meditating on the transcendental form of the Lord and always chanted the glories of the Lord. She did not desire to accept anyone else as her husband. She had firmly decided that only Lord Krishna would be her husband. So this is an impetus for chanting. Today we were talking about how does one remain conscious, fixed, attentive while chanting the holy names of the Lord. You have to have a sankalpa. A sankalpa is an intention. Why are you chanting? What do you want from Krishna? Because chanting is asking Krishna for something. You understand?
Yeah.
You're asking Krishna. And if you study the Shikshashika, you'll understand this. You're asking, you're begging Krishna for something. Whether you're begging Krishna to save you from this world, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram, or you're begging Krishna for becoming detached, Nadanam, Najanam, Sundarim, or you're begging Krishna to become humble, Chunadapi, Smrichena. You're asking Krishna for something. What do you want? And if you want something material, at least you do that. At least you chant with that intention.
I asked Krishna to heal me from sickness and it works.
Yeah. See? So that was his sankalpa. Yeah. In the morning he said, Krishna, please. Om Jagadish, Jaya Jagadish. And he sung like that too. Yami Jaya Jagadish Hare. We taught him that song. And please get rid of the sickness for me. Om Jaya Jagadish Hare. Anyway, so it's stated, Sarvakama Mokshakama Dharati, Akama Sarvakama Mokshakama Dharati, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajeta Purusham Param. Whatever one desires, one should go to Krishna for that desire, rather than to the demigods, rather than to your parents. Right? Just go to Krishna. And so, the point is, of course, that's not a high level to go to Krishna for something material, but it's something. At least it's something better than nothing. So, that's Chandrakanti. When a devotee is found to be always associated with the Lord in ecstatic love, it is to be understood that such a position has been awarded by the Lord himself out of his causeless mercy. So, an example of this extraordinary mercy is given in the 11th canto, 12th chapter, 6th verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, whereas Lord Krishna tells Uddhava, the gopis in Vrindavan did not study the Vedas to achieve me, nor had they ever been in holy places of pilgrimage, nor did they devoutly execute any regulated principle, nor do they undergo any kind of austerity. It is simply by my association that they have attained the highest perfection of devotional service. So, here's a question for all of you. What austerity, specific austerity, do the gopis do to get Krishna as their husband? Katyayani Vrat. And what does that Katyayani Vrat consist of? Bathing in the river at this time of year without a scuba outfit on. You know, just like, of course, they bathe naked. Can you imagine bathing in a river right now, Yamuna River, right now for the whole month? And then, at the end of the month, having someone steal your clothes. And who stole their clothes in the end? Krishna stole their clothes. So that was their austerity. So we can worship the demigods to get Krishna. I was also asked that question today. What about worshiping the demigods? This is fine. They're servants of Krishna. We go to them to get Krishna. So, whoops. Skip that. Okay. So, so the example, hold on a second. So, from the example of Chandrakanti is found in the Padma Purana, and from the example of the gopis is found in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it appears that a devotee who always thinks of Krishna and always chants his glories in ecstatic love, regardless of his condition, will attain the highest perfection of unalloyed devotional love due to the Lord's extraordinary mercy. So the key there is always chanting his glories. What's that verse in the Bhagavad Gita? Satatam? What's the rest first? Satatam kirtiyantamam yatatas cha jadavata namasyantas namam bhakja nityayuktu pasate. So that's the point. Always be chanting Krishna's glories. Sound vibration is the most important of all the processes of devotional service. This is confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. If Hari, the Supreme Lord, worshipped, adored, and loved by a person, it should be understood the person has finished all kinds of austerities, penances, and similar processes for self-realization. On the other hand, if after undergoing all types of austerities, penances, and mystic yoga practices, one does not develop such love for Hari, then all his performances are to be considered a useless waste of time. If someone always sees Krishna inside and out, then it is to be understood that he has surpassed all austerities and penances for self-realization. And if after executing all kinds of penances and austerities, one cannot always see Krishna inside and out, then he has executed his performances uselessly. Wow. What's the verse in the Bhagavatam? Dharma, Swanashtista, Pumsa. What's the rest of it? Anyone know? No, Vishwakshena Katasya. Notpadiyad Yadi Ratim. Shrama Evahi Kevalam. And that means that if one does all, follows all the rules and regulations and everything like that, and doesn't develop a taste for hearing and chanting, Shrama Evahi Kevalam, he's spinning his wheels. What does spinning his wheels mean? That means you're driving a car and you're stuck in the mud and you push down on the accelerator and the wheels spin and you don't go anywhere. So the whole point, so you can judge your advancement in Krishna consciousness by how much you're attracted to Krishna. And also by how detached you are from this world. Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Asu Paivanyam Gyanam Chayada Haitakam. So by performing devotional service, the Bhagavatam says, Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. Then causeless detachment arises. You're no longer interested in what you were interested in before. Like I was interested in so many things before I joined the movement. And this is not interesting. It's boring. Boring. The whole material world, that's nirapeksha. Nirapeksha means you're not, let's say you're taking a negative attitude towards anything, but it's just boring. Someone asked me to go to see a cricket game, like I used to play cricket. No, I didn't. So, I definitely didn't play cricket. But if someone asked me to go to play soccer or to play baseball, American baseball, I said, well, it's boring. Someone asked me to go to the movie. It's boring. Yeah, I remember one of my godbrothers, okay, this is the last time I went to a movie. He was a sannyasi, he invited me to a movie. He said, you gotta go see this movie. The name was Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings. Anyway, so he said, you gotta go see it. And I said, I don't want to go see any stupid movie. You gotta go see. You gotta go see. I said, okay, as long as you pay for it. I'm not gonna waste Krishna's money paying for it. Stupid movie. So there were two sannyasis going on a date. I said, what if the devotees see us? Went into a movie theater. You're holding hands. No, not really. Not really holding hands. And he said, don't worry. He said, all right, so we went to the movie theater and I had to sit through, it was a long movie.
Sure, yeah.
And I had to sit through the thing and he said, what did you think? I said, it's boring. And he said, you have no culture. So, this...
Which Lord of the Rings movie was it?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I just remember being bored. And being a devotee, I couldn't go and buy popcorn or anything. But what we did, actually, I did have something to eat. This was in a tropical place, so they had carob trees growing there.
Wow.
So on the way there, I picked the carob pods and I was chewing them on them to keep myself from going crazy. So when you actually take Krishna consciousness, the same things you were attracted to before, it's just boring because you're having such a good time serving Krishna. So this is symptoms of advancement in devotional service. That you really want to hear about Krishna. Spontaneous attraction to Krishna, which is said to be due to the extraordinary mercy of the Lord, can be placed under two headings. One is profound veneration for the greatness of the Lord, and the other may be one's automatically being attracted to Krishna without any extraneous consideration. In other words, what that means is that some people are just, wow, Krishna is so great. He created everything. Wow. The universal form comes from him. All these universes come from him. That's greatness. And the other one, without extraneous, that means external consideration. That means, why do I love Krishna? Because it's Krishna. Prabhupada said that one time, really showing his mood. He said, whether Krishna is God or not, we love him. That's the mood of the residents of Vrindavan. Of course, Prabhupada knows that Krishna is God. He's philosophical, but he was showing one particular mood of the Brajavasis. So if you talk to the Brajavasis here, and you say, Krishna is God, he created everything. It's just like, what the hell are you talking about? Isn't it? It's like the mood of Mother Yashoda when she looked in Krishna's mouth when Krishna ate the dirt, and she was thinking, oh, it's God. And then she wasn't so happy, and Krishna wasn't happy. He covered her with his yoga maya again, so that she just thought, oh, he's my little boy, and he's eating dirt, I got to chastise him. Because she saw a lot of dirt in his mouth. So, anyway, that's the residents of Vrindavan. So if one's attracted to Krishna because of his greatness, one doesn't go to Vrindavan. One goes to either Vaikuntha or Dwarka, like that. In the Narada Pancharaja, it is said that if on account of profound veneration, means appreciation, and prayers, for the greatness of the Supreme Lord, one attains great affection and steady love for him, one is certainly assured of attaining the 4 kinds of Vaishnava liberation. So, there's 4 types of Vaishnava liberation. There's actually 5 types of liberation. One which we don't want. Which is the one we don't want? Sayuja, which means merging into the Supreme Lord. So the 4 types are listed here. One is you get the same type of bodily form as the Lord. Wouldn't that be cool? Not for me. One is you get the same opulence as the Lord. You live on the same planet as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one is you associate with the Lord. Of course, these are nice, but the interesting thing is a pure devotee doesn't ask for any of those things. A pure devotee, he simply wants manma janmani janmani shvare bhavatad bhakti haitapitvaye. So a devotee doesn't aspire for those 4 things, although they're sometimes given to devotees. I mean, they are given to pure devotees, obviously. So Vaishnava liberation is completely different from the Mayavad liberation, which is simply a matter of being merged into the effulgence of the Lord. That's called Sayuja Mukti. In the Narada Pancharatra, pure unalloyed devotional service explained as being without any motive for personal benefit. If a devotee is continuously in love with Lord Krishna and his mind is always fixed upon him, that devotional attitude will prove to be the only means of attracting the attention of the Lord. In other words, a Vaishnava who is incessantly thinking of the form of the Lord is to be known as a pure Vaishnava. So generally, a devotee who has achieved the causeless mercy of the Lord on account of following the strict rules and regulations of devotional service becomes attracted to the supreme greatness of the Lord by the transcendental beauty of the Lord and by the spontaneous execution of devotional service. To be more clear, by executing the regulated principles of devotional service, one can fully appreciate the transcendental beauty of the Lord. In any case, such exalted positions are only possible by the extraordinary mercy of the Lord upon the devotee. Although many different processes for developing love of Godhead have been explained so far, Bir Goswami now gives us a general description how one can best achieve such a high position. So now he talks about this whole hierarchy, which Lord Chaitanya mentions in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, beginning with the Do, Shraddha, Tata, Sadhusanga, etc., which I mentioned in the previous class. The beginning of ecstatic love of God is basically faith. There are many societies and associations of pure devotees, and if someone with just a little faith begins to associate with such societies, his advancement to pure devotional service is rapid. Just like we have so many nice devotees here. And so, one of the things that some of the devotees from other places other than Sydney have mentioned to me is that, wow, it's so nice, the loving relationships everybody has here.
I'm from Sydney.
What? You're from Sydney too, I know that. Not really, you're from Nugo Cool.
Yeah.
So, I know that. But the devotees were appreciating, these devotees from other places were appreciating, one devotee from America was appreciating how nice it is, everybody has such nice relationships. So this actually is part of the cultivation of devotional service. Dadati prati gurunati guyamakyati prichati punkte bhojate chaiva. We have these loving exchanges, giving prasadam, accepting prasadam, giving gifts, accepting gifts, revealing the mind and confidence, and hearing from others and being compassionate with others. It's rapid. If one can find such an association, here it says it's rapid. The influence of a pure devotee is such that if someone comes to associate with him with a little faith, he gets the chance to hear about Lord Krishna from authoritative scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Thus, by the mercy of the Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart, one gradually develops his faith in the descriptions of such authoritative scriptures. This is the first stage of association with pure devotees. So this is Ado Shraddha, and the next one is Tata Sadhu Sangota. In the second stage, after one becomes a little advanced and mature, he automatically offers to follow Bhajana Kriya, to follow the principles of devotional service under the guidance of the pure devotee, and accepts him as a spiritual master. In the next stage, under the guidance of the spiritual master, the devotee executes regulative devotional service, that's nishta, and as a result of such activities becomes freed from all unwanted occupations. That's anartha nivritti. When he is freed from unwanted occupations, his faith becomes steadily fixed. Ashakti. And then he develops a transcendental taste, for devotional service, ruchi, then attachment, that's the Shakti, and then ecstasies, bhava. This is the whole process I described the other day. And the last stage, there's pure love of God. These are the different stages of the development of pure love of God, so everyone can understand which stage they're at. Are you just thinking, well, I'm interested in Krishna consciousness, I have a little faith in Krishna consciousness, or are you associating with the devotees, which you're doing here? Or are you performing Bhajana Kriya. Bhajana Kriya means chanting rounds every day and following four regulated principles. Are you working on getting rid of unwanted things in your heart? Are you doing that, or are you just happy with the unwanted things? You like lust? What do you think, kind of? Not sure.
Really.
Anger,
No, I don't like anger.
greed.
Nope.
Well, you know what illusion is?
Yeah, like false thoughts and stuff.
Yeah, seeing something that's not there as being there, or not seeing something that's there
Yeah.
as not being there, or seeing something that's there in the improper way.
Yeah.
That's what illusion is. Not being aware of something that's there, or so not being aware of something that's there, or being aware of something that's not there. Give me an example, like a mirage in a desert. That's an illusion, right? Okay. So sometimes there's something happening you're not aware of. And then the last one is you see something, for example, if you see a pure devotee, you consider them an ordinary person. That's another type of illusion. So you have these like three types I've defined illusion right now. So, kama, krodha, mada, matsarya, envy. You like envy?
No.
Envy means you turn green
And poisonous.
and poison. You want something someone else has. So, when you use people, that's also envy. If you think that someone is meant for my pleasure, like if I look at my disciples and say, they are meant for my pleasure, they are mine, that's envy. Right there. Interesting. Madhamashari, Bharya, Bhoya. What about fear? Is fear good?
I don't like being scared. I mean, it might be important in some circumstances.
Yeah, if you're afraid of Maya. What about being afraid of mouse or?
I think that's a better question for my mom.
Okay, I won't ask her that question. That's too pointed. All right. So anyway, that's an art and a vritti, and then we get ruchi, a taste for hearing and chanting. So, any questions or comments before we end class today? Questions, comments, arguments, problems? Yes.
If we're aware that we have unwanted things that are
Yeah.
polluting our consciousness, but we don't have attachment to Krishna, we don't have full faith, then how do we navigate that process?
By wanting to have full faith. See, we may not, so you can backtrack a little bit. Let's say, don't have full faith, but I want to have full faith. And if you don't want to have full faith, at least I want to have full faith. And if you don't, okay, we'll try this one. And if you don't want to have full faith, you should want to. So you can go back, a few steps like that. I don't have a taste now. I want to have a taste. But I don't even want to have a taste. But I want to have a taste. Because I see how happy these devotees are. So I want to be happy. So even though I don't want to have a taste, I want to have a taste so I can be happy. Does that make sense? So that lamentation, we talked about that the other day, that lamentation, that I don't have a taste. I don't have any desire to be Krishna conscious. And you say, oh my God. And that lamentation and introspection. Like that. Yeah. It's a good question. So, any other questions or comments? Yes?
I read the Ramayana and I've been wondering about why Rama banished Sita, because why couldn't he just punish people for talking about it? Why do you suddenly just have to banish Sita?
Yeah, I also wonder about it. But anyway, it was really, that's the one thing I don't agree with Rama about. But anyways, but I'll tell you why he did it. He did it for the same reason why Krishna left Vrindavan. Krishna left Vrindavan, well, we say he left Vrindavan to kill the demons. But really, he left Vrindavan so the gopis could experience a mood of separation. Because this may get a little esoteric for you, but when Krishna's consort, Sita Devi, Srimati Radharani, is feeling separation, there's more connection. It's hard to understand that. Like if I'm feeling separated in the material world from someone, there's no connection. But in the spiritual realm, it's the highest ecstasy. I know that's really going to be really hard to understand. Okay. So that's really why the Lord does things. I mean, just like, look at Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, look at Krishna's pastimes, isn't it? And look at Ram's pastimes, and there's always this separation from the wife or girlfriend. Isn't it? You think about it.
Yeah.
Lord Chaitanya took sannyas when his wife was like 16 years of age. Vishnu Priya. His first wife died because of separation. Lakshmi Priya, right? It says that she was bitten by the snake bite of separation. So his first wife died. So you have this constant interplay between meeting and separation in all the Lord's pastimes. And so, I know it sounds really cruel. I mean, it really does sound cruel. So here, Lord Chaitanya took sannyas. His wife was 16. Can you imagine someone gets married to someone who's very attractive, more attractive than any of your husbands? Most of you wouldn't mind. Oh, my husband takes sannyas, thank God. You know, he did what he was supposed to do. He gave me the kids, you know, that's all right. After that, he's just an appendage that doesn't. So anyway, as long as he leaves me with enough money. That's it. Isn't it? In the beginning, there's romance, but, you know, after the kids are born, you know, get out of here. So anyway, but really, it's intense. 16-year-old girl. And she's married to the most attractive person in anywhere. And he just leaves in the middle of the night. And then she's lamenting the rest of her life. You know, for each time she chants Hare Krishna, it just takes one grain of rice. She can't even see her husband. At least Sachi Mata, she got a chance to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Advaitacharya's house. And then you have Krishna, and the gopis were a similar age. They had Krishna, were dancing with Krishna, and then Krishna left them. And Sita Devi, similar. You know, they were married, and she was pregnant.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? You're expecting your child, or two children actually, Love and Kush, and your husband doesn't even say, I'm sending you to the forest. He just tells Lakshman to do it.
Yeah.
You know, that, oh my God,
Yeah.
that is so damn cruel.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Lord Ram. So he says, Lakshman, take Sita Devi to the forest. And she's thinking, Valmiki reminds, she doesn't know she's going to be dropped off there. She just thinks, you know, before giving birth, I'm taking a nice little, you know, to see the forest. Because she really liked the forest because they had spent so many years in the forest before. Dandakaranya and other forests like that. So she thought, this is a nice excursion. My brother-in-law is taking me. So she goes in the chariot. And he says, okay, you're staying here. Oh my God. So it's a good question you asked. So I don't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like the fact that Krishna left Vrindavan. I didn't like the fact that Lord Chaitanya took sannyas when his wife was 16. I mean, you have these emotions too, so. From another point of view, yes, Lord Ram could have just like put that washerman in jail. But, there is the explanation that Lord Ram wanted to be in such a situation that he wasn't criticized. Because he was thinking, there's another philosophical explanation for it. That Lord Ram, he didn't want, being the king, he didn't want to be accused of something called nepotism. Nepotism means you favor your relatives. Let's talk about Modi, Narendra Modi. He actually passed a rule. See how I know so much about these things? Oh my God, so much Maya. He passed a rule that if you work in government service, you cannot hire any of your relatives. Did you know that? You can't hire your relatives. All the other prime ministers before,
Only relatives.
it's been only relatives. The Congress Party was just like a dynasty,
Yeah.
right? But he said no relatives being hired. And so in this way, you understand, he has no ulterior motive. Okay, I'm glorified Modi now. Pure devotee, no ulterior motive. But anyway, but at least in the people's eyes, because if someone takes the position of a king, then everyone is his praja.
Yeah.
You understand? When you take the position of a king or a guru, you can't play favorites anymore. Simply because someone's your brother or sister.
Trump had always been.
Yeah, Trump also the same thing. He had his trophy wife. And he had, and he brought in his kids, who were, even though they were unqualified, he brought them into the White House. So people, so the point is Ram wanted to have the trust of the people, and he also saw everybody in the kingdom as equal to his wife. Yeah, because that is the vision of a leader. I know it's hard to understand. Your age is going to be pretty hard to understand that. But
Did Sita already take the Agni Pariksha?
what?
She went in the fire and proved that she was pure.
I know, but still people wouldn't believe that. That washerman didn't believe it. He knew, everyone knew that story about the fire and came out pure. The washerman could have thought this is just some trick or something like that, magic trick or something like that.
Do they put the curse from Narada? We have played the part.
Yeah, but the point is, yeah, he'd be separated from his wife. Yeah, there's that whole story in the Puranas. That's a different thing. But I'm just talking about the reason the Lord did that. Prabhupada explains, is because the king has to consider all the living entities in his kingdom to be equal, and he can't think that one is more important. So that's a responsibility of someone who takes the position of being a king. So even the washerman is equally important with Sita Devi.
Is life partner more important?
Yeah, but not for a king. A king has that responsibility of just like whatever's best for the kingdom. Even if someone's own, Ram, it's such a heavy story to remind. Ram ultimately banished his own brother at the end, Lakshman. You know the story? He banished Lakshman.
Can you tell us about that?
You don't know the story?
I've never heard of that.
Oh yeah, so at the end of his pastime, sometimes people describe it. Anyway, someone came to see him, and they say it was Yamaraj who came to see him. You know, some people. The Ramayana isn't really, the Valmiki Ramayana is not specific about who it was. But he came to speak to Ram. And he said, Ram, I have something to tell you that no one else should hear and no one else should interrupt us. And you have to station someone at the door. So he stationed Lakshman at the door, and then there was the arrangement that if anyone interrupts, he's banished from the kingdom. Okay. So Lakshman is stationed at the door, making sure no one interrupts. Then what happens is that Durvasa Muni comes. And Durvasa Muni says, I want to see Ram. And Lakshman says, well, wait a little while. And Durvasa says, what? Wait? I'm going to destroy your whole kingdom. So Lakshman is thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get banished. Which is worse? Which is worse? Me getting banished or the whole kingdom getting destroyed and Ram's whole kingdom, you know. And so he thinks, oh, okay. And then he goes in to disturb Ram. And the guy goes away who's telling Ram. Basically, he's telling Ram it's time to leave this world and end your pastimes. That's in the Bhagavad Gita. So he tells Lord Ram that, and Lord Ram says, all right, you're banished. So Lakshman gets kicked out, because Ram has to keep his promise. Whew. It is so heavy. I mean, some of the things and then Ram, when he's doing fire sacrifices, this is before Lakshman gets banished, he has to have his wife by him, so he makes a deity of Sita Devi. It's so heavy. Your wife is just there in the forest, and you can't see her, and your kids are there. And then finally, Valmiki comes and says, you know, Sita Devi's been a good girl for all these years. She's only chased you. And Ram says, I want to hear it from her own mouth. You know, so heavy. I want to hear from her own mouth that she's been faithful and not thought of anyone else other than Ram. And he doesn't even accept the word of Valmiki. And then she says, this is too much. If I've ever been, if I've always been faithful to Ram and never thought of anyone else, Mother, please come and take me away. So the earth opens up, and the mother goddess comes and just takes, and she's taken away, and Ram is upset at this point. He's going to destroy everything, you know, but so heavy. The Ramayana story is extremely heavy. So what happens when you worship God? You get treated by it like that. Oh no! But there's something internally going on there too. You know, if you look at it from the external viewpoint, it's extremely heavy and cruel. Who would want to worship such a God like that? But when you look at it from the internal standpoint, it's just like to bring Sita and Ram closer together. Because the mood of separation, vipralamba, just like Krishna is non-different from his name, if we chant in the mood of separation, we become closer to Krishna. We're with Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, then your Krishna is there. So Sita Devi was always thinking of Ram. Ram and Sita were never separated. It's just an illusion. Just like if you look in the heart of Hanuman, there's Ram and Sita. So if they're in Hanuman's heart, then how can you say they're ever separated? If Hanuman opens his chest and there's Sita and Ram, so how are they separated? So it's all an illusion. It's a dramatic performance. That's from another angle of vision. The Lord is putting on a play for us. So that's another way of looking at it. Krishna's putting on a play, he's a dramatic actor, and he's making these really heavy plays, you know. So that, you know, Krishna and Sita, Krishna and Radha, they're actually dramatic actors. And if you read the Gopal Champa, you'll understand that. You'll actually understand things more in that vein about how this is like a play that Krishna and his associates are putting on. Okay, good question.
This is one more question.
Yeah. Okay.
It's on that point of when you talked about it before, but there's in Srila Prabhupada's books that says we need to know Krishna as Bhagwan, but there's also that mood of like Rajvasis and stuff that we're trying to imbibe, that we're Krishna is our lover, friend, and everything. So sometimes it feels like the Bhagwan and the friend kind of clash.
And they do clash.
So then, like, how much of each are you meant to have? In our own practice.
That's a good question. I would say at certain times of the day, Krishna's Bhagawan to you, and at other times of the day, like when you're chanting japa, he's probably not Bhagawan to you. He's just Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But when you're giving Bhagavatam class, you know, he has to be Bhagawan. So I would say you got to divide your day, and you know, and Prabhupada did that too. You know, in certain times of the day, it's appropriate to think of Krishna, but generally, in the initial stage of devotional service, we have to, in the back of our mind, remember that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so we stick with regulated principles. You know, so there has to be some mood of awe and reverence in the beginning of devotional service. But at the same time, certain times of the day, we just have to, you know, when you're reading Krishna book, you really can't think of Krishna, you know, reading about Krishna stealing butter and feeding it to the monkeys. You can't think of Krishna as Bhagavan at that point, right? It's just not. So it's just like in Vrindavan. Krishna's in Vrindavan, he's killing the demons, so he slips into his Bhagavan mood. And, you know, Vasudeva Krishna at that point. And then when he's playing with the coward boys, he's Nanda, you know, so it's, Krishna also is changing his mood during the day, according to what's needed. So with ourselves, we have to do that. You know, even, you know, my service, you know, when I'm talking with certain devotees, there's more intimate discussion, giving Bhagavad Gita class, usually I don't forget the Krishna's Bhagavan when I give me the Bhagavad Gita class, right? But when reading, you know, talking about Radha Kund tomorrow, you know, we pretty much should forget that Krishna's Bhagavan. Is that? So anyway, different times of the day. It's a contrast, it's a conflict sometimes.
Also on that note, I heard a devotee say when we come to Vrindavan and come to the Krishna Balaram temple, when we do obeisances to the deities, we should forget that he's like a friend or any loving thing, just obeisance as Bhagwan. Like, is that also like?
It depends on your own mood. I mean, I don't think you can impose a particular mood on people when they see the deities. You know, I mean, when I see Krishna with Radharani, I don't think of Bhagwan. It's kind of hard. When I see God with 4 arms, you know, doing his chakra stuff, then I think of Bhagwan. But I think it's kind of hard when you see Radha Shyama Sundar to think of Bhagwan, isn't it? When I see Lord Jagannath, I think more of Bhagwan. Because he's Jagannath, Lord of the universe, but Krishna is Krishna. So I would say that, but still, you know, if people think like that, it's not wrong. It's their mood in devotional service. Everybody's entitled. Sometimes devotees try to impose a particular mood, which is not consistent with the other devotees' mood. You know, it's just like Jai Radha Shyam Sundar Bhagawan. To me, that's Rasa Bas, isn't it? Radha Shyam Sundar. No, if you're thinking of Bhagawan, it'd be Lakshmi Narayan. Jai Lakshmi Narayan, Jai, like that. Jagannath. But even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he didn't see Jagannath as the Lord of the universe. He saw Krishna playing the flute when he saw Jagannath. All right, it's time. Interesting discussion. Thank you for the nice questions. Really brought out a lot.